when it came to actually reporting their performance against these environmental standards and environmental indicators, only 60% of the companies actually provide performance. So that other 20% are just simply saying environment, yeah, that's good, that's really good, we care about it. Of those that provide environmental performance indicators, the ones that they're reporting the most about seems to be driven by the current agenda of what we care about with the environment, which is right now we're really talking about global warming effects. And so you see them talking quite a bit about CO2 emissions, greenhouse gases, those kinds of things, and what they're trying to do, to affect those emissions. You don't see much about water, the use of water consumption, and you don't see much about disposal of waste, effluents, and other things that affect our water, which we're kind of interested to see if that shifts in terms of reporting as water becomes a greater issue. Because right now, a lot of people said the water is really the bigger issue than the issue of air quality and greenhouse gases. But that doesn't seem to be what's driving them. So they report energy consumption, waste disposal, air emissions, material consumptions, products and services. Water consumption was only reported in 53%. Water emissions or effluents only reported in 33% of those that report. Environmental accidents was only reported in 23% of those. And so compliance was not an area where they reported a lot, where they were fined, what accidents they made, was not reported nearly as much as the positive things. So when we looked at the accountability, we also wanted to look at how are they reporting. When they have unfavorable results, do they even report unfavorable results? Where is that? 36% of the companies did report some kind of unfavorable results of their performance. Okay, but overwhelmingly, when they reported an unfavorable result, they reported it with a positive interpretation as to that result. Okay. Shocking. It's shocking, isn't it? Yes. And when they reported positive results, they quite often put it into some kind of explanatory context so that you could really understand what kind of impact that was having. And the common thing would be like, this is equal to removing 2 million cars off of our highways. Now, when there was an unfavorable result, again, they tried to do a positive interpretation, but there was usually no explanation about the actual impact of that unfavorable result. This is like adding 4 million cars onto our highways was never mentioned, something like that. I know that's a surprise too. So it doesn't seem to be necessarily provided in a way that holds them accountable necessarily as a way of being able to show that they do care about these environmental impacts. In terms of providing some kind of comparison, 83% of them had numbers that had no context whatsoever. It's just the number. This is our number. 73% had comparisons to past efforts, so you could actually see if it's increasing or decreasing. 40% actually provided results against their goals, would report whether they met their goals or didn't meet their goals. But some of these were a bit artificial. One company, IBM, always met or exceeded their goals every single year. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I went back and looked at the numbers. Their goals were so artificially low that even though it was a 2%, they first set their goal at 2%, I think, in 2002, right? And they exceeded it because they reduced the emissions by 4%. So you think, well, they're going to increase their goal. No, the next year it was still 2%, then they increased it, they exceeded it by 6%, then by 7%. The goal never increased. So there's nothing really stretching their ability. They kept exceeding it every single year. So against the industry standards, only 25%. Against, we didn't see anything in terms of against competitors. Nobody ever said we do this better than our competitors. We didn't see that in any of the top 50 reports. In terms of having somebody verify those results, actually verify their reporting, other agencies, 5. Only 5 out of the 50, so 10% actually had somebody verify the results of their report that they provided. And provided a certificate like the Bureau Veritas certificate on the ISO standards.
Did you actually make a difference among those 50? You must have European ones.
No, this is only US 50 global Fortune 50.
Yep. We have NRE law, where
Right.
total bottom line is compulsory.
Right.
It'd be interesting to compare.
Yeah, France was one of the first
Yeah.
countries to actually require that.
So
No, this is
it's
purely
evaluated
voluntary.
by agencies, and
Yeah.
you have to have the triple bottom line.
Right, right. And so because it's purely voluntary, they can do it any way that they want. Now what we have found is that the companies that do align themselves with third-party standardization groups like Global Reporting Initiative, Sustainability, and others do better in the transparency of their reporting. They are more transparent in the reporting. They've also been doing it longer. Much of these companies that are involved with third-party organizations that have set standards about how to report environmental impact, they've been doing it longer, they've been working with these groups, and they are more transparent. They score higher. What we did is we developed an environmental reporting transparency scorecard. No, transparency, is that right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. The IRRS, we call it the IRRS. So, and we actually then did a comparison of all of the companies to see how well they scored on this. In the handout, there's actually in the spirit of transparency, we actually showed how we put that together. And some of it's based on what we think is the most important elements, but it's a breakdown of all those transparencies. And the companies, again, that did align themselves with these third-party groups and provided their sustainability reports to Global Reporting Initiative and others, score higher on the IRRS than those that don't, and it's actually statistically significantly higher as well. So scored almost twice as high as those that don't. So.
Did the location of the headquarters or the sector play a role?
Sector did, yeah. Those, in terms of there are industries that are more environmentally sensitive, and those industries are more likely to report. That's what we found. We didn't look at geographic location. That's an interesting, that would be an interesting variable to look at, but we didn't look at where they were located. And because many of these are multinational, and they have headquarters, all kinds of plants in all kinds of different places. It might be difficult to actually say, just because your headquarters is here, it doesn't mean that you have more community impact in other places. So.
Does it mean these days?